Hi, and welcome to the Tea with Intuitives podcast. I'm Meli, an Akashic reader, past life psychic, and channeling coach.
And I'm Brittany. I'm an esoteric energy healer and inner child healing coach. Each episode, we answer one of your questions about spirituality, the Akashic records, energy healing, meditation, spirit guides, and the unseen world.
So we invite you to grab your cup of tea while we answer MSK 2316's question, what are your thoughts on precognitive dreaming? But before we dive into this subject, Brittany, what tea are you drinking?
Well, today I have my little camping mug from Colorado, and there's chai tea in there.
Yay! Do you go camping often?
We go a couple of times a year. This is like a camping mug, but it's not from camping in Colorado.
Okay.
Bought it in Colorado.
Okay. Oh, and I am drinking a matcha tea. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it's a matcha latte, in fact, and it's green to match the dress I am wearing today.
You know what's funny? We're both in green.
We are, yes. It's to say hooray to springtime, and now it feels very summery. So yay! We're recording this on May 12th, by the way.
Yeah, very spring.
Yeah.
Meli, what are your thoughts on precognitive dreaming?
Isn't it fun when it's a fun dream?
Yeah.
At least. I haven't had many, I think. Sometimes you just need to look back to realize it was precognitive dreaming, unless you're someone who has lots of them, and you get validation very, very quickly. I had one for sure, and I talked about it a year ago on my Instagram. So if you're following me on Instagram, I'm going to put it back in my stories when this podcast goes live, so you can check it out. And I actually had a dream about having my daughter. And at the time, I hadn't met my husband. So I was living in Montreal, Quebec, and my husband was living in Paris, France. So we didn't know each other at all. And I had a dream where I was on an airplane. I was walking down and back up the aisle, and I had a baby in my arms, and I was just walking in the aisle because I knew the baby needed movement. And I just knew how much I loved that baby. I knew it was a girl, and I knew I had enormous love for my partner. I knew it was a man. I never got to saw him, but I knew he was close by. And that's it. And I didn't know it was precognitive dreaming, but it felt so vivid and the emotions were very intense. And few years later, I met my husband while I was in Paris through a friend that we had in common. And after that, he immigrated to Canada to be with me. And we had a daughter. And of course, we took the plane with her. When she was very young, we took the plane twice. I think she was 6 months and then something like 12 or 14 months. And we took the plane to go see our family and friends. And sure enough, at some point, I'm walking in the aisle with her just to soothe her and to entertain her a bit. And I'm like, oh my God, this was a dream.
That's beautiful. Where do you think these dreams come from? And why do you think we have dreams that kind of show us future possibility?
Such a good question. I feel like when I have these dreams, it's to show me the way. This dream specifically, I think it was because I needed something to encourage me, because I had been in a very long celibate period. So I was very discouraged by the fact that I was single, and I was like, how come I'm single? I'm cute. And I would have these thoughts. I would walk down the streets in Montreal and see couples. And I remember seeing a couple that I thought, oh, they're not super cute. Like, and I was like, well, I'm cute and I'm very well put together and I've got a job, I'm independent. And I'm like, how come these two are together? I was so frustrated. And I
Aw.
think I got that dream at some point just to let me know, look, it's in the cards. You'll get there, just not for now. And I am so, so grateful for I spent 3 years and a half being single in my early 20s. And my husband, Pierre, also spent a while being single before we met. And that made us so much stronger. It made us very independent. We had time to think about what we want for ourselves, what we want in a partner. And looking back, when we're talking about it, we're like, well, I don't think we would have been such a strong couple if we didn't have these years before. And it makes me think that I think I want to go in my Akashic records and ask my spirit guides, was this in my life plan or did it just happen? But maybe my soul wanted this for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. That's so sweet.
Yeah.
That's such a sweet little like, Melly, it's gonna be okay. We promise. I
Yeah. Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. How about you, Brittany? Can you recall any special dreams, maybe precognitive or just, feeling like you're getting a vision of something?
Yeah, so I love this question. I'm so happy that one of your followers asked this question. It's so fun. I do think dreaming of whether it be future potentials or events that are going to occur is very psychic. I think there's this, when you start to, I don't know, you don't even have to be aware of what psychic or intuitive even means to have these dreams. I think everyone has access because in the dream state, we're super out of our body, we're super vulnerable to impressions in this way. Even people who aren't spiritual or consider themselves spiritual can be visited by loved ones who have passed in the dream state, right? It's like a really sensitive place to be in. But the dreams that I've had, they started in high school. There was even the littlest thing. I was trying out for a school play and I really wanted one of the lead roles. And I dreamed the night before the casting list came out that I was given the role of a prostitute in Les Mis. And I woke up and I told my best friend and I told my grandma, and I was like, yeah, I had a dream that this is what the role that I was cast, and I'm not going to take it. Like, I don't want to, that's not the role I want. So, of course, when I get to school and the casting list comes out, there it was. There's my name right by that character. And the beautiful thing was, if I hadn't known beforehand, I would have been very triggered in the middle of a school day. I probably would have cried in front of all these other classmates. And so having the recognition and the understanding of what was going to happen helped me get through the day because I had already known. And I know it's small, but when you're, 17 and you're in high school, things like that are huge for you. The other dreams I've had are just in my early 20s. I'll know if a coworker like doesn't like me or like I'm going to have a rough day with a coworker simply because of the dream I had the night before. For an example, I used to work as a barista like 3 or 4 years ago, and I had a dream that my boss during that time in my life was going to have a conversation with me because she like really didn't like me for some reason and I didn't know why. And then of course the next day I hear through other people that, my boss at the time, my manager, had said, they're just not sure about you. They don't know if you like them or not. They think that you don't like them. It was just this really unnecessary drama. And I was like, okay, well, I had a dream about this. So I already knew this was happening. And it seems so silly to think about, like, why would I dream about these things? I think a part of this is also when other people are thinking about you, you feel it in a dream state. If you're having dreams about other people in your life, chances are they're thinking about you and they're projecting their energy onto you. So the funny thing was with my old manager, I never thought about her that much. Like, we didn't work together often at all, but I heard she was thinking a lot about me or questioning things about me, and I had felt that in my dreams. So it's really funny how sensitive we are, like amazingly so. When I was in India and I was getting my yoga teacher certification, I kept having this dream of a foreign man coming into my life and me having a relationship. Like in the dream, I had met a soulmate. And so then the following year or two after that, I traveled to Germany and met a dear soulmate in Germany that we had a great 6 months together. It changed my life, but I had known it was going to happen because of the dreams that I had previously had. So I don't know why or when these dreams come through or, what dictates or decides what we get to see. Um, but it is pretty amazing. We've had a family friend who um, really wanted a pet. And so she dreamed a white dog, a stray white dog came to her, but she looked at the white dog and said, I want a cat.
Uh,
so, so in the dream, the white dog transformed into a white cat. The following week, guess what shows up in her neighborhood walking around her yard? A white cat, a stray white cat. So these things happen and they're so magical and fun. And I think they're just really just encouraging and supportive, and they give us a heads up about things. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not necessarily while we're dreaming or in a deep sleep state. I've also had vision when I'm in between or just very, very relaxed. I remember the first vision that I had, and this just this deep, deep knowing. I think it was a mix like of clairvoyance and clair-knowing. I think I was about 10 years old, and I had a vision of the soulmate that I was going to be with. And I knew he wasn't looking like a model that you see on TV or in the magazines. Like, I knew he was more quote unquote ordinary looking. He wasn't very tall. And the main thing that I knew, that I felt, is that it was a collaboration. We were equals. And this is what I was looking for in this life. This is what my soul wanted. So I kind of had it's a vision, but I often call them whispers. It's your spirit guides or your soul, your higher self whispering to you these things. And when I was a kid, I didn't have a boyfriend until I was 17, almost 18 years old, but I really wanted to experience that. But it never happened because I was so afraid of being vulnerable and asking someone out. I was afraid of rejection. So it just never happened to me, but it was very heavy on me. And I never talked about it to my parents because I thought they would just laugh at me because I'm a kid. And why do you want to be in a relationship when you are 10 years old? Only my best friend knew about it. And so I think it was the spirit guides encouraging me as a little girl, showing me what's in the cards for me. So this is one that I had. And when I was older, I was with my husband, but just before I got pregnant, and maybe even before we decided we agreed on trying. I had visions of me in an apartment that was bigger where we were, because Pierre joined me in my small apartment. It was a one-room apartment where I was when he joined me. And so it was a bigger apartment, and it was very, very calm. And I didn't get it at first, but they were showing me I was just living there all the time. They meant to show me, you're going to be working from home. And I used to work in Studio 303 in Montreal, and I loved it, really loved it. And I worked there for 8 years, and I didn't want to leave. And the fact that at some point I had the guts to leave that job, I think it was because I really felt the call more and more. And once I had my daughter, I still thought I wanted to go back to work. And when it was time to go back to work, I just couldn't, because I understood what the message was. And I was called to another chapter of my life. And that's when I started working from home, started half-time because I wanted to be there for Rosalie. But I started working from home as a translator and proofreader, which is something I still do now.
Do you consider those precognitive dreaming, or are they just like visions, like intuitive?
Um, they might be more visions. The thing is, I have a hard time recollecting them. I'm like, was I in a half dream state or fully awake? I'm not sure because at the time,
Yeah.
I wasn't working as a psychic. I wasn't consciously communicating with my guide. So it was just like, oh, I can feel this, but I don't know what this is. Now, looking back, I was like, oh, wow, this was a strong vision. Thank you for listening to the Tea with Intuitives podcast.
If you have a question for us, you can send it to teawithintuitives@gmail.com or on Instagram or YouTube.
Your love for this podcast helps us grow and reach more like-minded souls, so don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast.
Have a beautiful week.